Hi, my name's Patrick, go by James, and today we're going over homeless in America and how this can affect anybody. Anybody can be affected by this. It doesn't matter who you are, what race you are, gender, demographic, where you come from, any of it. Going over the facts and statistics in people that gather this data to find who is largely affected by this and who they might be missing. Nowadays, anyone is at risk of being homeless, whether it be from job cutbacks, economic crisis, disaster, natural or other. There are many number of factors that cause people to lose their home. I'm going to be going over as much of the information as I can, telling you everything I found, where I found it, and hopefully this will help people understand a little bit more that they may not have known or be thinking about when it comes to the topic. Most people think, not me, I'll never be homeless. I thought so. I never thought I'd be homeless. I always thought that I was going to have a place to live. It's not that I don't work. It's not that I don't work hard either. I mean, I know. If you saw me on the street, you might see this and think, yeah, oh, he's a rough, tumble guy. You know, not really that type of dude. Might look rough around the edges, but I'm a really good dude once you get to know me. I invite you, please, get to know me. But when it comes to this topic, I get really serious because it's affected me. It's affected me way before I personally became homeless. So when I went to Ohio, the person I ended up with was homeless at the time. I didn't know she was homeless, and looking at her, you wouldn't think she was homeless. She was a very beautiful and well put together person. She was smart. She knew her stuff. I never thought she was homeless. But she was pretty much living out of a hotel day to day. And there are a lot of people like that who live paycheck to paycheck, just barely surviving. No, my dad has done it for years. He has struggled and he has worked tireless hours just to make sure that we had a home. Make sure that, everything was taken care of. A lot of people do that. They live from one paycheck to the next, not really knowing if, there was an accident, or emergency came up, they would be able to pay the dues, or they'd have to go a week without eating, or any number of issues that might come up at any given time. I think more and more people nowadays are living this way and are affected by this. And I think it's reaching a more broader type of people. If you ask the average person what you imagine a homeless person looks like, you wouldn't expect to see leather vests, clean disposition, I mean, beard long, might expect that. But you wouldn't expect just a regular person. You have this image of, I know I did, a raggedy person just either with a bottle of liquor or some type of drug behind them. It's not quite what it is. It's not the reality of it. There's way more that goes in to homelessness than just drugs, alcohol, and mental illness. A lot of it has to do with circumstance. A lot of it mainly financial. You look at the 1920s, the Great Depression. It wasn't that they weren't willing to work. It wasn't that they weren't willing to do what it had to, because they did. They did everything they had to do to survive. My dad talks about my great-grandfather talking about making bread with sawdust and fill it out. Block parties started like that. People would bring a little bit of this, a little bit of that, get together with the whole block and feed everybody. They did so much with so little that nowadays that we have so much, there shouldn't really be anybody with that out. But the reality of it is, there's a lot more that we can do to help people. But let's get beyond that. What I want to talk to you today about is the facts and figures behind this, and the people that pretty much make them. And basically let you know that anyone can be affected. Said, all my life there's been homeless people in and out of my life. They didn't start out homeless. No one ever does. Unless you're a child, which people don't really think about nowadays, that there are children without homes. But I'm going to tell you something that's going to completely shock you, I guess, if you don't know the facts behind the stats. Anyone can be affected. But I'm here to dig a little deeper than that. They're just telling you numbers and where they come from. I feel like I'm obligated to help people understand the reality behind it. So I'm going to dig a little deeper behind the facts and figures as they stand today. And also bring you a little something that you may or may not have known. Like I said, economic crisis. The U.S. debt being at an all-time high. Like, we're in the trillions now. Just blowing the budget out of the water. And more people living paycheck to paycheck. People losing their jobs or on employment or on unemployment more than ever before, with companies cutting back and inflation going up. Compounding everybody's problems. And if living each day paycheck to paycheck isn't stressful enough on its own, I can only imagine what it might feel like for the head of a family, worrying whether or not that they and their family are going to end up on the streets. Uh, and one missed payment or one emergency, something break down in the car, accident happen, they could just lose it all. That's a crime. But this happens every day to lots of people everywhere. And this is only the United States that I'm going over. The world is affected largely by this issue. When you really take the time to think about the facts and statistics and look beyond them a little bit, think about it, maybe talk about it with people around you. A lot of them really do make sense when you start seeing the whole picture. Way beyond drugs, alcohol, or even the times. Mental stress, health, disability. All these things factor into a person losing their home, losing their stability, and ending up on the streets. Well, let's dig in and see just how many people are homeless in the U.S. Counted, more than 500,000 people have experienced homelessness as of 2022. The number officially being 582,000 people that were homeless last year. That's 18 people per every 10,000 in the U.S. In 2022, the shelter count was at 348,630 homeless people in shelters. In the unsheltered count, being 233,832 people homeless on the streets. The housing urban development provided by the government. So, let's break it down. Go into the even further statistics. Who exactly are these people?